Hi, and welcome. Nancy Sawyer here for Let's Coach 2023 for Life Coach University. I am a coach who helps women to master midlife and navigate through the muddy waters that sometimes come along during midlife, all the things that life throws at you. And sometimes we need a little bit of help figuring out how to tread out of those waters. So thank you for joining me here today. Today, I've been thinking about springtime. Perhaps you've noticed, well, I don't know where you are, but I'm in the East Coast of the United States. I'm on Cape Cod. All the flowers are starting to bloom. The day today, it's like 65 degrees. It's beautiful out. And I've started to get this feeling of wanting spring cleaning, wanting to spring clean. And I've been thinking about how we get stuck sometimes. Sometimes we get stuck and we just need some newness. Sometimes we feel like we're unhappy. Sometimes we think that we're unhappy with life. And what the issue is sometimes is we've been stuck in a routine. So when you're trying to integrate new habits in your life, do things that are healthy for you, that put you in a better space, that help move you forward, it's great to work on a good routine and to have a great routine that pushes you forward. That's something new. But what happens sometimes is we get in a new routine or we get stuck in an old routine that no longer serves us. Is there anything in your life that you're doing that you've been doing for a very long period of time, maybe for several years, maybe for decades? Have you considered switching that up? If you're feeling restless, if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling a little stuck in your life, what can you switch up about your routine, about the way you do things? Is there a new routine you can try? For me personally, I have been very intrigued by minimalism. And the thought of having the least amount of things in your home, in your space as possible so that you can really enjoy life and not manage things. I am completely enthralled with that concept. Yet I'm 54 years old, and I also have a history of being a gatherer. And my mom was that way. Probably her parents were that way. We save everything, right? So in order for me to really embrace this, I am going to have to get pretty uncomfortable. And I'm feeling, like I said, this feeling of like spring cleaning. I need some newness in my life. I'm kind of bored. I'm sick of the way I've been living. I'm sick of all the stuff. You know, I have a closet full of clothes, and this is a funny thing. It's been really busy in my life because it's a season of very busyness for me. I have a high school senior. There's a lot of extra stuff we need to do. And a couple weeks ago, I didn't get to do my laundry all week. And I noticed this. I walked into my closet to get dressed, and I looked, and all my favorite things were in the laundry. And I said to myself, I have nothing to wear. And then I thought for a second, and I said, geez, I'm standing in my walk-in closet, which is full of clothes. And I just said to myself, I have nothing to wear. So what does that tell me? That tells me that all that stuff that I was staring at, I either don't like, it doesn't fit well, I'm sick of it, I'm bored of it, whatever it is. For whatever reason, I don't want to wear that stuff. So then I move forward and ask another question. Why do I have it here? Why is it taking up space on a shelf in my closet if I have zero desire to wear it? These are interesting questions. These awareness, times of awareness that we have, we can notice. We can take a step back and say, what's actually happening here? So not that I want to make this about my closet, but it's interesting how we get stuck with stuff. By the way, I didn't say this at the beginning. If you would like to raise your hand, come up and get coached, you are welcome to. There's also a Q&A at the bottom of your screen. If you have any comments or questions, if any of this resonates with you, please put your comments in there and I'll be glad to address that. So the thing about these things that we hold on to, right? Sometimes we hold on to them because it's funny with clothing, we have a special connection to it. Sometimes we remember where we were when we bought it. Maybe it has we got it when we were on vacation, or we were in our favorite store, right? Sometimes that's the draw that we want to hold on to it. Sometimes we hold on to things because we got a really good deal on it. This was a great bargain. Sometimes we hold on to it because we spent a lot of money on it. I spent hundreds of dollars on those boots. I'm not going to give them away or get rid of them. I have to keep them forever and ever and ever. It's funny how we do these things to ourselves, right? For something that you don't actually use, that doesn't serve a purpose for you anymore, we hold on to. And sometimes it's a little deeper. Are we holding on to who we were at that time? You see, as a coach, I help people create their future. So a big part of that is letting go of the you that you used to be, letting go of the things that happened in your past. Because if we're carrying all that, and you've heard me say this before, if you've been with me here on these talks, I often envision the vision of Santa carrying that big sack of all the toys and stuff, except I envision carrying all that stuff from my past. And I often find myself saying, Nancy, when are you going to put that down? What are you carrying with you today that you can put down and leave back there? You see, when we carry all this stuff with us, patterns, clothes, behaviors, limiting beliefs, memories and of difficult things that we just won't let go of, when we're carrying all that, there's no room for new, exciting things to come in. There's no room. We're already full. So in order to create the space for new and exciting things, new habits, new routines, new people, new experiences, new opportunities, we need to make space, to create space for these things to enter into our lives. So sometimes people say, I feel stuck. I don't know why I can't move forward. I don't know why good things aren't happening for me. I'm trying all the things. I'm doing all the routines. And sometimes I say, what are you holding on to that is taking up space and not allowing these new things to come in? There's a comment here in the question, a question here in the Q&A. So I'm just going to read this. I'm stuck with not being kind towards a certain person in my life. My mood shifts when she walks into the room. I know I should be nice, but I'm stuck. It's like I can't be nice to her. Well, that's very interesting. So what I would encourage you to ask yourself is, you said your mood shifts when she walks into the room. What are you expecting to happen? What does she bring with her into that room that shifts your mood? When you say your mood shifts, I'm guessing that's probably to a negative state, right? It's not like you're excited and elated to see this person. You might either be defensive, you might be frustrated, you might be sad, you might be angry. So I would encourage you to ask yourself, your mood shifts. How does your mood shift? What feelings come up for you when that person enters the room? And once you identify that, let's just say it's anger. Okay, let's just say you get angry. Once you identify that emotion, we want to take another step back. Where is that emotion coming from? Has this person done something in the past to upset you, to hurt you? What are you holding on to that creates that mood shift. Another way to look at it is when they come in the room, how are they acting? So you see, sometimes, especially if this is someone who you're around a lot, we get stuck in interpersonal dynamics. Okay. It's a power struggle. Okay. And this happens a lot with parents and kids. It happens a lot with husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. There's something going on beneath the surface, and it's a power struggle. And so this says, thank you for the clarification. She is trying to be nice. I can see it, but I know her niceness won't last. Oh, so I say, why bother? So I go, why bother? Okay. So she starts off being nice and then she shifts on you. Okay. So when you, that would lead me to think that when she comes in, do you get defensive? Like you want to play nice, but then you're always on the alert. Like, when is she going to shift? Right. So that puts you in like a fight or flight mode. It puts you in a, what's going to happen? Right. So what happens here is if people act one way and then they shift their mood, they shift on us, that means we are left feeling unsettled. We don't know what's going to happen. Right. So we're on alert. Our nervous system is on alert. Well, I don't know. When are you going to shift? After this comment, after the next comment? So maybe bringing up that awareness for yourself. And then the next thing I would ask is, what causes this person to shift? And the reason I'm asking all these questions about you is because we can only control how we react to what is out there. Okay. And we can control two things. We can control what we put out, whether it's loving and kind or angry or sad or mad, the energy we put out, what we bring to the interaction. And we can control how we respond to what other people do. We can't control other people. We can't say, you're being nice and you're not being nice. I need you to be nice. You have to be nice. We can't control that. So this is what we're kind of seeking, is the ultimate, the great place is where we are in full control of our emotions, and we don't allow other people to upset us or to trigger our, to end our feeling of peace and calm. Right? When we just understand, hey, that's out there, that's them. They got their own issues. They're dealing with things. I can only put out loving kindness. I'm a very big proponent of loving kindness, no matter what. And then people get to choose how they react. So if this is a pattern that you've had for a very long time that you're stuck in, it sounds to me like you're aware of the pattern. What would happen if you addressed that? Would it be possible to address that? How could you say that in a loving way? Here's a little more information. She is nice because she wants something from me. Then I do the thing. I help her, I drive her, and when it's done, she then seems to not care about me. Okay. So it's kind of a self-serving niceness, it sounds like. And I just want to point out, if this is a teenager, that is completely normal behavior for teens. If it's not a teenager, then it's a different issue. If it's not a teenager, then can you call her out on that? Can you say that in a nice way? Can you say, look, I'm glad to help you, but after I help you, you don't seem very appreciative. And here's the thing that you're going to have to decide. Sometimes we surround ourselves with, or sometimes people are attracted to us, or people come around us and they're takers. Okay. And as long as we keep saying yes, they're going to keep taking. So if it's gotten to a point where you're feeling resentful, you don't like when they enter the room because you know that they're going to just be asking for something and they're going to fake nice so that they can get what they want. If you understand that, what you have to understand is that's who they are as a person. And the dynamic right now is serving them because you're doing what they want you to do. So the way to end that dynamic is for you to say no, to have some boundaries, and to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you today. And it's very, very uncomfortable to have these conversations and to start putting up boundaries. It is hard. But once you do it, what happens is people will stop asking. They will stop asking. They might get angry. The people who get the most upset about boundaries are the ones who had access to you before. The ones that you say yes to and you bend over backwards and you're always helping, you're always doing everything. When you start saying no, you're changing the dynamic and they don't like that. So there's pushback. There's more comment here. My teenager is more grateful than she. Okay, so it's not a teenager. All right. So, I mean, there are a couple options here. The way I figure it, you can address it and you can have a conversation and say, this is what I've been noticing. This isn't working for me. You are allowed to tell other people what you want and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You are allowed to honor yourself and what you need. Sometimes people don't like to hear that. So I would just encourage you, if you are going to have a conversation, just understand they might not like what they're hearing, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that you do not deserve to speak up for yourself. And I talk a lot about, as we're putting up boundaries, how can we do it in a kind and loving way? How can we do it in a way that is nice, right? We don't want to just say, no, I'm not helping you anymore. That's not very nice. Let's just say someone walks in the room and they want to ride somewhere later this afternoon. It's okay for you to say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have other plans, but I could take you tomorrow. When we can say no and offer a different option that works for us. And I do this, I do with my friends. Sometimes my friends will call me or they'll text me. I have a really good friend who has actually taught me this. When I have texted her, I said, do you have a few minutes to talk? And she says, I'm busy this afternoon. I can call you after 5. Now, I don't get mad at that and say, geez, why aren't you available to me all the time, right? She is saying, she's putting that boundary. I am not available right now, and I can call you after 5. Right. And then I have a choice, right? I can say, well, you blankety blank, you don't have time for me. You're not a good friend. That's one option. Another option is to say, great, I'll call you at 5. Another option is to say, thanks, I appreciate you, but I need someone now, so I'm going to call someone else, right? We have options. This is the thing about life. We all have options. So if someone chooses the option of getting upset, of being angry, of being ungrateful, that is not about you. That is about them. That is not about you, okay? So saying no to things, putting up these boundaries is hard, but putting yourself first is going to allow you to show up as a good friend, as a good partner, as a good whatever the relationship is, because then you're not feeling resentful. Then you're not walking on eggshells. Then you're not sitting there having a fake conversation, thinking to yourself, well, when are they going to ask me to do the thing? Right? Because what kind of a relationship is that? So I want you to ask yourself, what kind of relationship do you want with this person? And how can you create it? How can you honestly create it? Do your best to create it. By the way, it takes two to create these dynamics. Okay. It takes two to create the negative dynamics, and it takes two to create the positive dynamics. So to bring this back around to cleaning out the closet, what are you carrying with you? Is it the frustration of weeks or months or years of this person always coming to you when they need something, and you feeling resentful because you always say yes? Right? What can you put down? How can you start from the next interaction with them from a fresh start? How can you come at it with fresh eyes? When they come in and they're being nice, is it possible? Are they ever nice without asking for something? I don't know. Is this always the way they act? And so how can you come at that and honor yourself and honor what you need? Because you're worth it. You deserve to, say what you need. Okay. And then here's another comment. It says, interesting. I have a person in my life too who I think uses me. Hold on, I need my reading glasses. Sorry, guys, I'm old. I then start tallying up. I don't like that about me. I want to put down the scoreboard. Yeah, I have someone like that in my life. And I joke, I make the joke. I'm like, they have a whole scoreboard in the closet. And every time I say yes and go to something or say no, I get, a check mark or an X. Here's the thing. When there are people in our lives who are doing this, who use us, who take advantage of us, or we feel taken advantage of, we have a choice. We can continue the dynamic to do the same thing. We can tell them we don't like that and ask them to change, or we can change. Which thing do you think you're going to be most successful with? Which thing can we control? We can only control ourselves. And so many times people take the path of saying, you're using me, you're not being kind to me, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. And we spend all our time and energy focusing on the other person and what they should do differently. But I want you to know, when you use that time and energy for yourself, and you say, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. This doesn't work for me anymore. Not in an angry way, but just noticing, this really isn't working for me. How can I change this? I don't have to be available to this person. I can say no. And when I say no, they might get mad. And sometimes when we say no and they get mad, sometimes they go and find someone else to do the things for them. And while that is challenging and difficult, it's important to think about what kind of life you want. And if you want a life where you're surrounded by people who appreciate you, who love you for what you bring to the table, and who are there to support you and lift you up, then you might have to shed some of that. So that's something I would ask you. Are you surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, who appreciate you? And are you also a person who appreciates others around you and who lifts them up? Because here's the thing, we have to be what we want. When we be that person, when we become that person, that's when we attract those type of people. I'm throwing an awful lot at you here. But I hope this is helpful. At the end of the day, you are the only one who has to live your life, and you are the only one who's going to put you first. That's just, it's a fact. There are people who come in and out of our lives, and some people who stay and they care for us, and they help us, and they prioritize us. But at the end of the day, everyone is kind of in it for themselves, right? So You have to make yourself a priority. And when you do, that sends a message to other people. It sends a message that you're not going to put up with stuff. It also is a great model for other people, right? It allows other people to put themselves first. So especially if you have kids who are watching what you're doing, if you're going to be a doormat for everybody, they see that. And then they get raised, and then they are raised and think that you have to say yes to everything. So pay close attention to what you deserve as a person, because you deserve the best treatment ever. And give yourself that. Don't wait for anyone else to treat you right. You have to treat yourself right by putting up those boundaries and staying strong with them. All right, I am going to wrap this up. Are there any final comments or questions? I hope this has been helpful today. As we're getting into springtime, what can you put down? Is it old dynamics? Can we go into an interaction with fresh eyes? Can we stick up for ourselves? Can we say, this doesn't work for me? Someone just said, I got here late. Sounds like I missed a good one. They're all good ones. They're all good ones. Yeah, I mean, what can you put down? How can you stand up for yourself? These are great questions. One of the things I really encourage you to do is take the time to sit with yourself quietly and feel what's coming up, hear what's coming up, so that you can express it when you're in that situation with that other person who is just being nice because they want something, or who you feel is using you. So you don't react in anger and escalate the situation. So you can speak to it and say, you know, when you do this, it makes me feel like X, Y, or Z. When this happens, I get the sense X, Y. Not attacking them, because when we attack someone, you always do this, you always use me, you ask for too much. It puts them on the defensive, and immediately the interaction is probably not going to go well. So how can we intentionally go into any interaction with positive intentions, with love and kindness and respect for the other person, even if they have done things that hurt us or upset us? So we can talk person to person and say, look, I'm feeling like I'm doing an awful lot for you, and it's kind of weighing on me. It's a little bit too much for me. I want to be there for you, but I can only help you this much on Mondays and Tuesdays. Whatever your boundary is, whatever the boundary is that works for you, I can only do X and Y for you. And if they get upset, that's on them, right? You're reaching out, you're offering to help them in a way that works for you. Okay. Honor yourself, honor what you need. All righty, guys. So this has been Let's Coach 2023. I am Nancy Sawyer. I help people to master midlife, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I'm here Thursdays at 1 o'clock, okay? So I hope to see you again next week, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Remember, put down whatever you're carrying, put down that big sack of junk that you're carrying around with you, okay? And start to look at things with some new eyes. Do some spring cleaning of your own. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.